All right, what's good, everybody? We are live. This is Perspectives. I am your host today, Holden Stephan Roy. Unfortunately, everybody's other favorite host, Littyyy Bro Flacko, is unable to be here with us today, but we are in fact joined by Mr. The Bad Seed, who will come through
Yeah.
and share his perspectives with
Yeah.
us. So since Flacco is not here, as y'all know, he likes to do his little intro. So I like to do my bad version of his intro since he's not here to do it himself. He likes to start it off kind of describing how the show came to be. He was doing his Littyyy Bros Volume 1 run. That album happened to be mixed up in Montreal by a guy I know on the Facebook. He's an engineer. I was talking with him, whatnot. He shared a track one day, and he doesn't really share a lot, so it catches your eye. I clicked on that, and I'm like, yo, it is a vibe. This led me to reviewing the first Littyyy Bros project because I was super curious, which then led to me interviewing Flacco. We did the whole thing, and in his words, he felt it was super therapeutic and was surprised that people hadn't asked him questions like this and things along that line. And typical New Yorker that he is, when he finds some dope shit, he has to put his people onto it and proceeds to kind of run it, which leads us to this moment where we are over here on this Zoom kind of having this conversation at this point. So
Yeah.
in order to get this all started right, we like to kind of have like a proper opening question, but like the pre-opening question is, could you just introduce yourself briefly? Let us know where you're from and where your parents are from.
Peace, y'all. My name is Bad Seed, aka Niggerless Cage, aka Larry J. Blige, aka your mother's baby father. And I'm from Brooklyn, New York. I was born in a snowstorm way back in 1975. It was a cold day. Woo! And mother's from Brooklyn. My father's from Brooklyn. My mother was from Marcy at Marcy Projects. My father was from Bed-Stuy. He was from St. Mark's in Bed-Stuy.
Yeah, that's wildly cool to know. So basically, we can say you're Brooklyn through and through.
Yeah.
I like that. All right, so that leads us in because it's the context for like the opening question, which is a little bit of a story. On when it lands, we're gonna start running through your story. And it all starts off with my girlfriend, and she's washing the dishes one time, and she's got her phone out, and she's playing that Black Eyed Peas song, that I got a feeling. Ooh, she vibing, she dancing, she doing her thing. I'm looking at her, and I'm like, when the fuck did this song become chores music? Cause like I'm looking at this song and now it's some shit that people be putting on to go jogging or to do some exercise, to do some chores, whatever they may be doing. They want to go back to the happier times when they're doing some boring whatevers. But if you think about that track and run it back 10 years, that shit is like middle of the night anthem shit. Everybody drunk, having a wonderful fucking time.
Facts.
10 years goes by. The song doesn't change because it's a song, but we evolve so much as people that the context surrounding our lives makes that song become like the chores music, which got me thinking about them 20-year-olds. They out there wilding out doing their thing. They have no idea this is the future soundtrack to their dishes washing. They also don't
Yeah.
know that whenever we find out about their shit, we start washing dishes to it pretty quick. Like that's just kind of the cycle of life. Now I bring all
Yeah.
this up because as artists, often what happens when we get to the interviews and we get to talking about our stories, most people don't run it back to the blizzards and the snowstorms of birth. They kind of start in that more adolescent phase when they form their identity. I started writing rhymes when I was my first favorite rapper was this. And if we think about like our musical journeys, that's definitely not the start of anyone's story, because like music's one of those things that's been around us since time. Like after when you came out in the hospital, wherever you was at, it's probably music playing in the room, being absorbed into you, and from that moment on, there was just a lot of stuff happening outside of your control. Like I can remember being like 5 years old. My dad's got these gray boxes all over. The fucking tape deck, the radios, the amplifier, all these wires and shit going out the speakers. He'd be running Led Zeppelin tapes and shit like that. At nighttime, live from the clubs in Montreal, we had this MC Mario dude spinning his shit. My mom, she's more on the love songs and the discos and the musicals and that whole other vibe. And collectively, this shit kind of makes up a lot of the soundtrack to my existence, but till I get old enough to start giving a shit myself. So with all of that, Mr. The Bad Seed, can you run us back to being the youngest bad seed you can remember being and telling us a little bit about what it sounds like to be in Brooklyn? But keep in mind, I'm from Montreal. I've never really been oh, say word. Flacko is here with us.
Oh, shit. Well, look at him.
Say
There you
word.
go.
Sorry about the late entrance. I'm going to mute myself because the music's on the background of the van.
Yeah.
I'm here, though. I'll be jumping in.
That's dope.
No doubt.
So yeah, if you could bring us, I guess. Hold on, let me just flip this. Yeah, bring us back, I guess, to the days when you were young, and just keep in mind, I'm from Montreal. I ain't never really been to New York before, although I'm changing that in the first week of November. But I've never been before, so a lot of times when you want to say, you know what I mean, I don't fully know what you mean. Is really the key thing to take from that. So yeah, if you could bring us back, that'd be fire, so we could learn your story a little bit.
Wow. It's important to know that my mom could sing, right, initially. So, and then my father's side, they were Pentecostal. Their religion was Pentecostal, so they basically had the Pentecostal church.
That's very strict upbringing.
Yeah, but that was his family. You know what I'm saying? That was his family that he came from. And yeah, they was strict. Like they was on some. The girls had to wear skirts. They couldn't wear nail polish. All that. Like how he hooked up with my mom's was crazy because my mom's was banging in Marcy. Like she's from Marcy, and he was from the other side. He was from St. Mark's. My dad was the black sheep of the family. He actually ran the streets, his side of the family. So that's how he ended up linking with my mother. My dad was a DJ. He was trying to. I think a lot of the guys that I know, their dad was into some sort of record collecting. Had crates of things. And I was fortunate because I still remember these songs. There's a story, true story, on Everything I Love. My mother tells about how when I was 2 years old, I would go to the turntable. I would take Earth, Wind, and Fire's record out, put it on the turntable, put the needle on Getaway. Getaway was my shit. Get away! And then I'm doing the baby bounce. You know how babies don't know how to dance. They just bounce.
That's true.
With that stupid look on the face. Yeah, that's what I was. That's basically what my mother says I did at 2 years old, just for watching that. I used to study the album covers and how Ronnie Liston Smith had like the artwork on the album covers and the Earth, Wind, and Fire album covers. I was telling Flacko, the first album that I bought with my own money was Anita Baker. You know what I'm saying? The first rap album I bought was Ice-T, Power. You know what I'm saying? Like it was
That's a long, like Ice-T was that's like he was the first West Coast guy, right? Like
yeah.
Okay.
But
first.
To be real with you, it even goes a little bit further back than that. Because not so much. Okay. The Earth, Wind, and Fire stuff, that's when I was young. As I started growing and getting into it, I saw like MTV. Like I came from the era where we watched MTV and they actually played videos.
Right.
You know what I mean? And it wasn't urban music on MTV at that time. It wasn't. It was Bananarama and Madonna and Duran Duran and Bon Jovi. Like these was Def Leppard, homie with the one arm playing the drums. He was killing it. The nigga had one arm. He was going crazy on him. You know what I'm saying? So it was stuff like that. It was stuff like that really was in the household that shaped it, molded. a lot.
Yeah, it's wildly nifty. So at what point does like hip hop get introduced into the picture?
Had to be, I want to say, because to be honest with you, I ain't even really like rap at first. It was cool. I thought it was alright, but I was really into the Depeche Modes and like I like that stuff. Like it was dope. I had a feeling I would probably get into hip hop, but I didn't run to.
Right.
I know like 85, 86 when Rapping Duke came out and Dougie Fresh, The Show, and Lottie Dottie. Like those were the joints that had me stick my ears up. Like, okay, what's this? And then I started hearing LL and Run DMC, and I'm like, okay, all right. But I ain't really want to start rapping until '88. When I heard Big Daddy Kane. When I heard Kane, it was a rap. Let it roll, get bold. I just can't hold back and forward because I'm a male soul. And controlling effects of what the heck? Rock the disco. I was like, yo, that's it.
There was a lot of sofrito coming out of Big Daddy Kane back in the days.
That was it.
There was no. So I would venture to say Big Daddy Kane was the sofrito god of the 80s.
That's a fact. That's a whole fact. That's a whole fact. That's sofrito. That's a whole fact.
That's fair, eh? I mean, to me, it's wild, right? Because, like, I'm 33, so you're, like, growing up listening to the guys that were older than me and all of the ones that they praised, and you're, like, there while these guys is dropping. And that's, like, you're, like, living it in a very literal sense of the inceptions of all this, which is wild. Are you, like, also seeing it come to life in the communities and all of that as well?
What you mean? You mean as far as the music?
Yeah, like the whole like vibe of it, like the whole culture kind of.
Yeah. Oh yeah. It was the dope thing about it is I think I'm very fortunate to have been born when I was born, because the things that I've seen, as far as culture, period, and how it's evolved, just from music to television to movies to just everything. It's beautiful. Like just seeing a whole bunch of different eras and seeing how they impact. Like I remember when baggy clothes was the shit. Like if you wore something tight, they was like, yo, where you going with that? They used to call it young. Like, where you going with that young ass hoodie?
Young ass hoodie, young ass jeans.
Young ass jeans.
If your pants were your size, right? That means that when you sat down, your socks would show a little bit. Which means what you doing with them high waters?
Like with them high waters.
High water pants on.
Yeah. So you know what I'm saying? Like I seen that era. I seen it turn into the tighter the better. You know what I'm saying? Like it's just crazy, but it's ill how it evolves, because Run DMC and them niggas was wearing tight ass Wranglers, and then it went into but even before that, like Bambaataa and them was wearing costumes with gowns and all types of shit.
They weren't, and then let's not even forget, right, that in our communities, our uncles and fathers were dressing crazy in the 70s and the 60s.
That's a fact. They was dressing like jive turkeys.
You don't want to pull up that picture of the Isleys and all the homies back then, because it was different.
Looking crazy. They was out here looking crazy with the taco meat out, and they ain't give a fuck, bro.
I love it. This is cool.
Bro.
This has gone in directions that we don't normally go. Okay, this is nice. I'm enjoying this.
Yeah.
So,
word up.
So you basically you get into it in '88, and you decide you're gonna start rapping with Big Daddy Kane. How old are you when that happens?
That was 8th grade.
Okay.
That was that was 8th grade, '88.
So
it was ill because all the years was the 86 6th grade, 87 7th grade, 88 8th grade, 89 9th grade. It was crazy. Like it was crazy.
So like, what happens when you decide you're gonna start rapping? How do you like actually go about doing that in '88?
What? I'm sorry.
So how do you actually go about rapping in '88 as you're deciding? I want to do this.
Because how it happened was I saw, going to school, everybody was trying to rap. Like they was banging on the table, on the lunch table, shit like that. And all the girls used to stand around and watch. You know what I'm saying? And I remember, I used to sit there. I ain't gonna front. I was hating. I was like, yo, these niggas, they trash, man. These niggas is copying raps too, like stuff. I heard that. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, man.
They were passing off other people's bars as their own.
Facts. Like I had heard because I used to listen to. By then, I had started getting into it, so I was listening to Mr. Magic and Red Alert. You know what I'm saying? I was listening to it. I just wasn't rapping yet. You know what I mean? So I went home. I'll never forget it. I went home, turned on Video Music Box. Shout to Ralph McDaniels. Video Music Box came on channel 31. It came on after school, and it was like the underground rap city before rap city in New York. They played everything. Shout to Ralph McDaniels, Uncle Ralph, right? So I came home. After school, I went, made me a sandwich. I'll never forget. It was turkey cheese with the mayo. You know what I'm saying? I had got me some Tang, because Tang was the shit back in the days.
Yo,
got me some Tang. Put it in the cup. I sat down. I turned on Video Music Box. I think I got on the phone. You get on the phone. You call a little broad. That's what in school talking to them. I remember I seen the video for the symphony. I said, I'm doing it. Yo, shorty, I'm gonna call you back. Bang! I'm watching this shit. And then they play Ain't No Half Stepping after it. I said, nah, that's it. That's it. I start writing my own raps.
Playlist is crazy.
I start writing my own joint. But I said, come, step into my kingdom. You're a scavenger in search of a crumb. That's all I remember. But I went to school the next day. Bang! And my first rap name was Chili C.
okay.
Yeah, because my name Corey is Chili C.
So you came in and you just took over because Big Daddy Kane inspired you, and then you became ill with this shit. Well, in the confines of the high school or middle school. I don't know what grade it is.
Well, that was junior high. That was the last grade of junior high. Right. I graduated from there and went to high school.
So I guess at that point, I mean, it's still pretty early on. Is it more of this kind of the school version of it in high school, or do you get access to more stuff for?
Well, nah. What happened was, now when you go into high school, you start bumping into people who also been rapping. You know what I'm saying? And you got to remember, this was hip hop was still kind of young. Like wasn't nobody really going platinum and all that. So nobody was really thinking about that. Like if somebody went platinum, like it was somebody like Hammer or something like that. They was doing numbers like that. It really wasn't the rappers like us. So high school, I started getting in my first rap groups. I had went out to Ohio because my dad was in the Air Force, and he was living out in Ohio. And I went out there and I did like my first year of high school out there. And I met some dudes out there that rap. And we formed my first rap group. Shout to them. My man Fred Blast, my man Yale, my man Stokes. We had a crew called COA, Center of Attention. And in high school, everybody used to hate on us. All the dudes used to hate on us because the girls, you know what I'm saying? Like this was some new shit, rapping. And if you was nice at it back then, it meant something. You know what I mean? So the jocks that couldn't do it, they was a little tight or whatever. I end up coming back to New York, and it was still business as usual because by now I came back to New York in '90. When I came back to New York, I remember Funk Flex. He wasn't who he is yet, but he was playing on 107.5 for a lady named Lady B. Lady B was the host, and Funk Flex was the DJ. And I remember, then now, mind you, this is '90. You know, they was playing stuff like now Red Alert was still popping. Mr. Magic wasn't popping no more. It was Funk Flex. And they was playing I remember hearing Brand Nubians, because mind you, I was in Ohio. You know what I'm saying? I came back to New York. Like, oh shit. But I was still knowing what was going on because I was watching Rap City and shit. I came back to New York. I'm listening to Stretch Armstrong, Bobito. You know what I mean? Listening to them. I ended up going up there, spitting up there with PH eventually, which was a dream come true because I used to listen to them.
Rest in peace to the homies.
Yeah.
Rest in peace to Pumpkinhead.
Definitely. All the time. All the time. You know, my first group was there in Ohio, came back to New York. Business as usual. And then I heard Looking at the Front Door. Yeah, that's what it was. Looking at the Front Door, Main Source in '90. And then Pete Rock and CL Smooth started dropping in Gangstar. And it was like everything started elevating. And it forced you to kind of elevate. And it forced you to kind of then move drop. And Nas. And then Big. And then Jay. And then it just kept going and going and going and going. I love it.